There's a couple major Switch stories that we got to talk about today, starting with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and the recent DLC announcement that we got at the most recent Nintendo Direct, and why a lot of fans are starting to look deeper into this announcement and realize that this may indeed be a lazy version of DLC that is headed to the Switch. Then the big talking point for today's video is why a lot of people are starting to talk and speculate that the Nintendo Switch may be losing some steam when it comes to being the front-running console, as just in the month of January, both the PS5 and Series X and S have actually outsold it. But I want to have a broader discussion of what this really means for the future of the platform as a whole. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we're covering a couple different stories today, and we got to kick it off with a big discussion around the recent announcement of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC edition that is headed to the Nintendo Switch, as it's a very surprising edition because they're adding in 48 brand new tracks to a game that is technically 8 years old, as it originally released on the Wii U, then was re-released back in 2017 for the Switch, but 2014 was the original launch date for this game. So a lot of fans thought we were around the corner from the new Mario Kart announcement, and of course Nintendo likes to do Nintendo things, and they instead decide to announce a long roadmap of DLC for a game that, to be fair, is like unprecedented when it comes to the total number of units that it's been selling on the Switch. It's clear past 40 million at this point just on the Switch install base alone. So knowing that they have all of those active users on Mario Kart, Nintendo of course opted to support the game with continued DLC, similar to what we saw them do with Smash Ultimate in the Fighter Pass, but now they have it broken up into 6 different passes that they will be releasing ultimately for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe starting in March of this year, and it is claimed that this will continue to be updated through the end of 2023 in terms of what their roadmap is right now. Now, the reason it is in the news again today is because as users have had more time to go back and dissect the trailer and actually rewatch it in its full length, they're realizing that a lot of these tracks that were highlighted look very similar to a different style of Mario Kart game, and that is Mario Kart Tour, which of course has ongoing support for mobile platforms like Android and iOS. And of course, because this game runs on really a wide variety of different hardware, that some of which is much less powerful than the Switch, the graphical textures and the quality just tends to not look as good on Mario Kart Tour, even though it looks good, I think, but it's not as good as what you saw in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe originally. And to kick off this conversation, I do want to quickly hop over to VGC where they have some more details, and I also want to reference GameXplain's video because they do a nice side-by-side comparison where you can see some of that, and I'll have their full video linked in the description down below as well. But let's quickly read through the article together as far as what has been uncovered in terms of this Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC and why it has a lot of fans upset. It looks like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's DLC tracks could be coming from Mario Kart Tour. Nintendo mobile title is seemingly the source of at least the first wave of Switch content. Nintendo's free-to-play mobile title Mario Kart Tour could hint at additional tracks planned for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's upcoming DLC. Nintendo announced on Wednesday that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be getting a booster course pass, which will add 48 new courses to the game spread out over 6 separate waves. According to the announcement, the courses will include remakes of classic tracks from across the Mario Kart series, as well as the mobile game Mario Kart Tour. However, it appears that nearly all of the courses in the DLC's first wave will be based on those designed for Mario Kart Tour. The mobile game has regularly added its own redesigned versions of classic tracks since the game was released in 2019, and the visual evidence suggests 8 Deluxe's DLC could be using assets from Tour. The first wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe booster course tracks set to be introduced on March 18th will consist of the following: Paris Promenade from Tour, Toad Circuit from 3DS, Choco Mountain from N64, Tokyo Blur from Tour, Ninja Hideaway from Tour, Sky Garden from Game Boy Advance, Coconut Mall from Wii, and Shroom Ridges from DS. Of these 8 tracks, all but one is featured or due to be featured in the free-to-play mobile game. Now, I'll then have on screen some of GameXplain's comparison video, which I would recommend after you're done watching this to check out the full-length thing if you're more interested, and again, that's linked in the description. But they did a good job with a side-by-side comparison, and if you stop and look at this for a second, you can indeed see that the graphical textures and the style of the courses is indeed taken directly from Mario Kart Tour, which of course is not as graphically impressive as something like the base game of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That being said, I don't think that this is something to get up in arms about, and to also suggest that this is what it's going to be for the rest of the DLC passes. I do think we could see Nintendo do something where this first wave is all ripped directly from Mario Kart Tour tracks, and then over the course of time, maybe they actually are in the background developing in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe engine some of the future passes that come out. But regardless, at this point in time, when it comes to Mario Kart content, at least where I particularly fall on this issue, is that I'm just happy we're getting new content at the end of the day. And as an NSO Plus expansion pack subscriber that I've been looking for more value to be added to the service, I'm also very happy that this is included in that plan, so I don't have to spend the separate $25 DLC purchase price. And some people like to own their stuff, but regardless, I get that, but I'm going to be paying for that expansion pack either way. I mean, obviously I talk about Nintendo primarily for what I do, so it's like, it's one of those things that I actually want to be in the know with all the new updates and revisions and changes in the service, so it definitely makes sense for me. But I get why a lot of people still feel like that's a high asking price. I just think that this really softened the blow for it overall, and I think that regardless of if these tracks don't look as great and as stunning as some of the ones in the base game of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I will still have a ton of fun playing new courses online with friends and hopping back into really one of my all-time favorite franchises. Like, the amount of hours I put into Double Dash back on the GameCube when it came out is ridiculous, and while I'm still ready for a new mechanic and really a new game altogether, this will absolutely hold me over until probably the next gen Switch, when we're really going to be talking about the next true iteration of Mario Kart, because clearly Nintendo wants to continue to push and sell this game that has such a ridiculously large user base. I'm also hopeful that maybe over the course of the DLC roadmap, that it hasn't been confirmed by any means right now, but maybe they're going to plan on adding in new characters with certain phases of this pass as well. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below what you personally think about this. Do you think that it's kind of being overblown and it's not a big deal and the graphics still look great, or does it really bother you and you think this is indeed Nintendo being lazy with this DLC pack and they just need to put in the additional work before they release it? So I want to hear from you guys regardless of where you fall on this issue on either side of the fence, and just share with me where your hype levels are at for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC as a whole in the comments down below. Now, the big talking point for today's video has to do with a lot of different news headlines going around online and a discussion around Nintendo Switch in the month of January, at least when it comes to NPD sales results, has actually finished in third in terms of total console unit sales. And of course, we historically see Nintendo lead the pack month in and month out. It was only recently that they lost like an over 30 something month long streak of being the best selling console to the PS5. And in January, they were actually passed up by both the PS5 and the Series X and S in terms of total unit sales, and that is an uncommon thing to happen. But I do want to discuss why this isn't necessarily just the Switch losing steam in sales, but is actually a broader issue of course, the ongoing chip shortage that we are all experiencing. But just so we're on the same page, I want to quickly hop over to VG Charts, where they have an article typing up exactly what's being claimed here, and then also shed some light on what this really means for the long-term sales of the Switch going forward. So let's quickly read through this article together. PS5 best-selling console in the US in January, Xbox Series X and S in second, Switch in third sales. The PlayStation 5 was the best-selling console in the US in January 2022 in terms of units and dollar sales, according to figures from NPD. NPD includes the dates for the 4-week period of January 2nd through January 29th. The Xbox Series X and S was the second best-selling console, while the Nintendo Switch came in third. PlayStation 5 was the best-selling hardware platform of January 2022 in both units and dollars. Xbox Series ranked second across both measures, said NPD analyst Matt Piscatella. Piscatella on the PS5 sales for the month did say, "The rankings are relative, so doesn't necessarily mean there were mountains of them out there. This does suggest that sales were relatively close between the different consoles." I then do want to quickly highlight one of Matt Piscatella's tweets where he goes into a little bit more detail on what he thinks happened here. So he says the following: "Ran this Twitter poll earlier this week. PS5 ended up leading in both units and dollars because it had the most product available. Console hardware remains supply constrained. Results are more reflective of available supply rather than pure demand." Now, there's a couple different layers to this story that I kind of want to unpack with you all, and the first of which being exactly what Matt said, and that's the fact that this is not necessarily an indication of pure demand, but rather which company can source the most products right now, because the ongoing chip shortage is a very real problem that's really plaguing all industries, but specifically video game manufacturers, as that is the backbone of the technology that of course lets us run these high fidelity games. And I do think that there's, that perspective that we have to maintain with this, and not that the Switch is just losing losing steam, as we even had President Shintaro Furukawa state that they couldn't meet their original hardware sales estimates, and they had to readjust their forecast based off the supply that they thought they could get in the year of 2022. We also had that warning go out that after the holiday season, because Nintendo did step up production a lot in the holiday season, but that there would be a big slowdown in Switch availability towards the beginning half of the year. And I think we're starting to see that a little bit now, while surprisingly Sony and Microsoft are able to put out enough to actually take the lead. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Nintendo won't still dominate this chart month in and month out when they can truly source all of the units out there that they do. The other thing to keep in perspective with this is the fact that the Nintendo Switch launched in 2017, March of 2017 at that originally, and since then we've had the PS5 and Series X launch, I think both in November of 2020, and a lot of people are just trying to get that console for the first time, when many other Switch users out there are probably picking up their second or third Switch because they bought a light model or maybe an OLED model upgrade. And I just think it's an interesting conversation that the Nintendo Switch family of systems will most likely continue to be the best-selling home console hardware period going forward into its 5th year on the market. And you know, there's a lot of people that have noticed since the last investor meeting that say, well, Nintendo says it's only halfway through its life cycle, so we're not going to get a new Switch until 2026. And to that I would say I disagree, because there's a couple things to look at there. One, a life cycle of a console doesn't necessarily mean that it's done when the new console comes out. So let's say we get a Switch Pro, or really just the Switch 2 next gen console in 2024. That doesn't mean the Switch 1 is just automatically axed and stops selling altogether. You probably have a couple years of the old generation console still selling alongside the new gen, and they would consider that part of the life cycle. Secondly, Nintendo's been saying it's halfway through its life cycle since 3, 4, and now 5 years into its development, or into its sales rather. So you know, we don't know exactly what they mean by roughly halfway. They could very well be, you know, referencing the end of 2023 or end of 2024, as opposed to a long out there number like 2026. But regardless, I think they know the wind in their sails that they have behind the Switch console sales, and I think that more than likely we may see future revisions like a Switch Lite OLED, and then maybe we get that 4K DLSS upscaling technology at some point in time for docked play. I don't think you have to have it on handheld at all, but it would be really nice to see on docked play. And I think if it lasts on the market until 2025 or 2026 and we really don't get a next gen Switch until then, I think we have to see some kind of 4K support, because that's just predominantly the TV market now. But regardless of where this lands the Switch for the long term, I don't think that January it falling into 3rd place in terms of total unit sales really says very much at all of it losing any kind of steam. And I think we still got a couple good long years of crazy sales to come for the base model Switch, alongside the OLED model and even the light model in the sales conversation as well. So at this point in the video, guys, I want to hear from you on all your thoughts and opinions on both the stories we talked about today, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all in the comments down below. Make sure you check out yesterday's video if you haven't already, where we discuss some major Xbox games that are in the works to head to the Nintendo Switch, and also how big of a deal this Mario Kart DLC being included with NSO was for the expansion pack price point. And please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification icon, and I'll see you guys on the next video.